I'm getting like an echo or something. I got a good delay. I don't know what else to really put on the board. Hey folks, and welcome to another edition of the Mediocre Cover Band Guitar Guy. So, it's just playing some stuff there taken from our set list, except for the Metallica that I threw in at the end of it. That was just sort of an impulse thing. So yeah, today I'm going to talk about set lists yet again, and this time in a little bit of a different context. So I've talked about your set list being your strongest weapon when you're playing in a venue. And having a great set list is what's going to determine whether you get and keep gigs. But besides having the great songs, you have to kind of know how to use them as well. And this is a thing we like to call knowing your audience. And when I started playing in bands years ago, back like in the early 90s, we used to have the first set, which we used to call the sleeper set. And that was kind of what we did stuff we liked, and slower stuff and more drudgy rock and roll and things like that. Because the clubs would be pretty well empty. Everybody usually came out around the second set, and that's when you got your dancers and everything else. But this day and age, that doesn't cut it anymore, and you got to build your set list with hits. And a great way to do that is, I like to call it the K-Rock set list. And it doesn't matter what you're playing. If you're playing music that people want to sit down and listen and not dance, and if you want to play dancers from like the classic rock era, K-Rock is a great source, or Coast, like the radio, the more of the classic stations. If you're going to do modern stuff, obviously there's radio stations, but I don't know where they are on the dial. Because I'm afraid if I put them on there, my dial gets stuck on suck. So Anyway, that's a great way to determine things, but it goes a little bit deeper than that because you have to play music from a lot of different genres, and this is how you get to know your audience. So what I mean by that is if you're playing and you've got a predominantly older crowd and they seem to be liking country music, then you kind of have to stick with that format for a little while. Or vice versa, if you've got a younger crowd and you see they want to hear more poppy, more hit-oriented music that's more current with today's market, then you might want to keep leaning that way for a little while. And you can almost see the climate shift in your venue when you're doing this sometimes. Sometimes the older crowd, what I call the older crowd, people my age, a little bit younger, tend to lean to go out to the clubs a little bit later. A lot of the really younger crowds seem to drop into clubs after they've been to other clubs, whatever. And they tend to like, well, a lot of the younger crowd like a lot of classic rock, like the Bryan Adams and things like Trooper. But you really have to gauge your crowd. And an example I have of this one, it came years and years and years ago. We played a festival, and we sent them a copy of our set list. They read it and said it was great, it was perfect, it was going to do. We got down there, we did our sound check. We hung out in some guy's camper that we stayed in overnight. It was a bitchin' camper, mind you. We stayed there and we went back to the venue, we started playing, and when the people started to pile in, it was like gray hair and slacks. Like the average age of everybody in that room was death. Like some of them might have rolled out of the back of a hearse, I don't know, but holy shit. We played and played and played and played, and this is what we got. Okay, they didn't care about what we were playing, and we had this guy who kept coming up because I think he thought he owned the town. And he kept saying, everybody here wants to hear Irish music. Everybody here wants to hear Irish music. We were also in charge of the music in between sets, and they did want Irish music. But we found out after they wanted the old stuff like Chuck Berry, that sort of stuff. It wasn't until we played later in the night that it got a bit better and we had a different crowd and we gauged what we were playing to them. So had we known that, that's what they wanted, we could have provided it for them and maybe got them up on the dance floor. You know, you don't want to turn people off and get them to leave your venue. So you need to read the crowd. You need to learn what's working and what's not. Back in the day, you know, people would stick a piece of paper down by the monitor and it would have a set list on it. And then everybody would shit the bed because somebody would come up and ask for a request, and it would be a song you had in your third set and they wanted to hear it in the second set. And it was kind of like those old burger commercials when Burger King decided to make it your way and somebody went to McDonald's and asked for no pickle on a burger and they had to make like 40 phone calls to find out what to do. So that's what it's like, right? Everybody's just rolling around like a bag of dummies. So you can have a generalized set list, know what you're playing when you go in there, but don't expect to do it all in order because you don't want dead space. You don't want people not on the dance floor or having a good time at least. And if you bore people, you're not getting back. Unless you're playing for dirt cheap, you're not getting back. So if Nan is out in that fucking audience and she's not happy, that's not good, especially if it's a Bay Nan, okay? Because when the Bay Nan is at your house in town, she's baking you pies and she's giving you money to go buy Metallica cassettes and shit. But when she's out around the Bay, she's going down to the river with a pillowcase filled with a rock and Fluffy's last litter of kittens while she's on her way to the post office to mail out your birthday card. So you don't want to piss Nan off. You want to play music that she likes. Okay, folks? So that's it for me for this one. Stay safe, folks. Get out and get in those live venues. Support everything and anything you can. Venues are struggling. Musicians are struggling. Everybody's struggling, I know, with the COVID-19. Get vaccinated if you want to. If you don't want to, that's none of my business. But hey, that's it. Also, this summer, you guys need to keep an eye out for the NL Brew Review Show. It's going to be a show, pretty much, if you can buy it, we'll drink it. And if you'll give it to us, we'll drink it. If it's out there, we'll drink it. And we'll review it, we'll critique it, and you know, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for some interesting takes on domestics and imported craft beers and some tours. And it should be a lot of fun. So keep that in mind and keep an eye out for it. And I will keep you posted on all that. Also, how's about a like and a subscribe to my channel? I'd appreciate that very much. And yep, that's it. So folks, take care and stay safe.